Let's go. We're breaking down C.J. Daniels, the new LSU wide receiver transfer. And we're going to start off here with his biggest catch, you could argue, in the Conference USA Championship game. It is 3rd and 8. They give him man coverage here at the bottom of the screen. Caden Salter, a future NFL quarterback, maybe not a starter, but he's going to the league eventually, decides to throw a line drive-ish jump ball, and look at that all-hands catch at its highest point away from the defender. That's called being a big-time extended red zone target, baby. 10 touchdowns. And I have a stat coming up that shows that this guy is one of the best wide receivers in all of college football in one key stat. Once again, that is indefensible for a DB. It's a well-thrown ball, but an all-hands catch and the physicality to come down with it. That is absolutely absurd stuff right there. Quite a few of you will say, well, it's a level of competition. It's New Mexico State, but that New Mexico State team also beat an SEC team this past season in Auburn. Okay, now let's talk about an actual big-time SEC-level team, Oregon, right? 11-2. Their only 2 losses came to Washington, and they played in the national championship game. You get an overthrow here by Salter, and look at that. And a good bit of this right here is a coverage bust. So they did let him just run free right here. Okay. Is this a coverage bust? It looks like it because this safety was occupied by this vertical right here, and that's actually just a dig, and he is wide open. So once again, nothing really incredible from the wide receiver himself, but he is open. And that's what we want to see. You just got to put it on. We get a quick blocking rep right here. So this block really had no impact on the play. But overall as a blocker, I just haven't, seen enough yet. But that's actually okay. Normally, if the ball is not going your way, wide receivers have a tendency to not block all that well. All right, so this was my favorite rep that I saw of him after watching him a good bit today, and that's the ability to break tackles. So it's kind of the same thing right here. Salter, this is an RPO. His job is to read this overhang player. He is blitzing right here. So this is a clear throw read. You could throw it right here, or you could throw it right here, okay? So Salter makes a really good throw, and it hits CJ right in the numbers. Now, any wide receiver on the planet is going to be able to make this catch. It's what he does after it that is really impressive. Okay? This is Jamar Chase level kinds of stuff. The ability to break tackles. So 7 has him dead to rights, as does this defensive player, and he gets out of this. Now, if I stopped right here and told you that he was able to gain an extra 2-ish yards after this, you would probably think I was crazy. He breaks this tackle, breaks another tackle, then breaks 25's tackle right here, and he actually got out of that. All right? That is absurd. Now, did he get some help right here from 5, keeping him up? He did. But still, that is some really, really, really impressive stuff. He didn't gain a whole lot of yards after that, but I like seeing people that don't go down easy. That's a sign of athleticism. You'll see it again here. Another thing is cutting this route off. All right. You don't want to run so far upfield if they're bringing a blitz. So he cuts it off short and makes himself a big target. Quarterback's best friend, big targets over the middle. And God, this is just crazy stuff that he was able to get out of this. Once again, it did help him that there were other Liberty players to keep his balance, but him getting out of this one, I still don't know how he did that. Because it looked like he was keeping his feet there regardless of 5 helping him up right there. So that's some good stuff. All right, so let's do another blocking rep right here. Believe it or not, this block is relatively easy. LSU did struggle at time making this type of block, where the guy that's guarding you is not the guy you're blocking. You are blocking an interior player to help seal the outside. So we need a good block right there. His eyes aren't towards you, so this should be a relatively easy block. Smart to not just go in and clean his clock, right? It used to be that you could just Hines Ward this guy and just decleat him. And he just comes in and not really all that physical, and we don't want it to be. We don't want to give the referee any type of blindside block penalty, and then he's able to hold this block. That is really, really, really good stuff. Okay, it's an easy assignment, but it's one we want to see you dominate, and that's about as dominant of a rep you will see. Once again, here we go. It's practically the same thing. He's reading this defender. He comes inside, pause, and look at this. Bang. Right there, okay? And there you go. Now, you just dominated 7 on the block. We need you to break this tackle right here. And he wasn't able to this time, okay? I do like the fact he fell forward, though, enough to pick up this first down. So we'll take it. All right, so this is a rep I believe Cortez Hankton would love a whole lot because they really struggled with this type of block. They tried doing this with a true freshman receiver on the team now. And if you watched our recent film studies, I'll link them down below, you could see which one I'm referencing. This is a very difficult block. So we are motioning you to the outside, and we're running a little split zone-ish kind of action with this running back into the flats. And these are your 2 lead blockers here on the perimeter. Okay, this is a very good play to run versus a team that has better athletes than you because it doesn't require your offensive line to make difficult blocks. So the blocking assignments here are actually pretty exotic. And LSU runs, honestly, this play, a variation of it. This wide receiver comes to block this guy to the inside. You seal him, and then Daniels has to get out in space and pick up this block right here. It's a little slip from the running back, and instead of split zoning a tight end, you're split zoning a better athlete. And Liberty's wide receivers have always been good blockers. This is not an easy block, okay? And it's well executed by 5. Now, the difficult block is this one. So Daniels decides to lead the safety untouched. That's the way it should be. And your job is to take on this corner who's flat-footed, okay? Now, it's not easy per se, but still. And he takes it on valiantly. Okay, 5 eventually did lose his block, but that's really good stuff right there. CJ held his end of the bargain up, and that's a good block right there out into space. He is a very good contested catch receiver. And this player wore this jersey number for Florida State. I think a lot of you remember him. Keon Coleman. He's a watered-down version of Keon. He's not as good of a player, but he's pretty daggum good. And where he excels are these down-the-sideline contested catches. So this DB is all over him, and Salter throws a really good back shoulder ball, and we need you to do something spectacular. Bang. Okay, not only catches it, got a foot in bounds right there. That is abso-freaking-lutely ridiculous, okay? And you move the chain. You'll see it right here. You don't want to get this far pinned to the sideline. Okay, so you would like to see him create a little bit more real estate, but then again, this play is being run into the short side of the field and or the boundary. So that makes this catch that much more difficult. And he just gets up and makes this play. That's just ridiculous stuff right there. Bam! I'm looking at you. Guess what? We got even more CJ Daniels reps for you to check out on Patreon. It's more of his rougher reps, things that I'm concerned about. You can check it out for yourself. Today, we're mostly going to remain positive right here. So sign up for Patreon. You get access to my Discord and all that stuff. And look, one big negative for a lot of you is the level of competition. They're playing winless Sam Houston State. DB falls down, and that is a huge reason why C.J. Daniels was open. Now, you do see that he had the DB beat anyway, but him falling down does make his life a lot easier. Now, you saw the keys at the beginning. One stat where C.J. Daniels was actually better than Malik Nabers. In fact, he was better than every single wide receiver in all of college football, and that's a stat called yards per route run. It's an advanced stat that a lot of people in the fantasy community use, but it's also being used in the NFL, and it's simple. The amount of total yards you have as a receiver divided by the amount of routes you run. And C.J. Daniels, as you could see, was the best in all of college football. Now, as you guys saw with the very first rep, a lot of it was blown coverage, but a lot of it was also just very difficult catches, such as this one. Now, a lot of his catches were down the right sideline, and he's going to be obviously lining up more to the left at LSU. But you do see ridiculous grabs such as this one. That's just crazy. Okay, that is a difficult catch no matter what level of football you're playing. So there is that. Once again, we dive a little bit deeper into some advanced stuff on Patreon, so check it out for yourself. But the truth is, he is a bona fide player. I do think he'll be able to translate to the SEC, and I do think he is going to be an adult in the LSU room, a class of 2020 recruit. So he's going to be pretty much in the prime of his athletic career, if you ask me. So I think he's just going to be an absolute solid stud. Do I think he's going to be special? No, I think that would be a little bit of a stretch, but the stats are still is production up for grabs. So comment down below if you believe C.J. Daniels will be the number one receiver next year for LSU. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! And that's the worst field goal I think I've ever seen. That is crazy. And tonight, we're doing some deer chili. Let's go.